And we're live.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode bazillion. I don't know what episode we on.
23.
23?
Yes, sir.
Well, episode 23. I am Keenan. I am one of your hosts. I'm with the lovely Becc Holland. Becc, what are you doing in 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks, I am going to Paris. 2.5. 2.5. I'm going to Paris.
Are you gonna meet Emily?
I hope so. I'm going to be there for a month.
Becc, you know what? In hindsight, you should have went to Bucharest.
Why is that?
Because fuck Emily in Paris. We've got Becc in Bucharest.
Did you just say that?
We got Becc in Bucharest. That's what I want. Becc in Bucharest.
Bucharest?
Becc in Bucharest. That's what I want.
But did you just say through Emily in Paris?
Yeah.
Oh, you just killed her.
The wind just got taken out. I have no words. I have no breath.
She couldn't even sell my Heston's bed. Look, you can't see it. I got a Heston's bed. And that was in the show, and they couldn't even get it right.
Here's the thing about Keenan, though. He likes watching it. He does, but he likes to pretend like he doesn't like watching it. That's the game.
We've only seen 2 shows, and I saw them at your encouragement. But then I never saw it again. And I went to the little place where she cheated on her friend's boyfriend.
Well, she didn't know that he had a boyfriend. Gabriel was his name. She didn't know. He was leading her on and hadn't told her that she had a boyfriend. But to anyone who's watching, who has seen Emily in Paris, who wants me to decode what Keenan just said, there's a restaurant at the bottom of her apartment that she goes to. That's where she meets her main love interest, Gabriel. And Keenan and I went to that restaurant.
Oh my God!
I actually had to learn. It was like low-key the best night of my life. Top 5 for sure.
Which just scares me. We got to help you with a better life.
I was so stoked. So stoked.
All right.
Well, hey, let's start off this podcast with the first segment, which is Email Teardown. This is the segment where we tear down emails and messages that were sent to Becc and Keenan. Now on to the first one. The subject line of this is invest in the next D Kings. Hi, Keenan. Would you be interested in getting access to the deal flow of some private equity funds? If so, I can connect you with PE funds that are actively looking to invest in emerging tech, fintech, and biotech companies. For context, I connect accredited investors with PE firms. If at all interested, I'd be happy to set up a call between you and one of our partners, Stern Aegis Ventures. Is there a good time to give you a call? Cheers, Devin. Keenan, what are your thoughts on this email?
I don't know what even the fuck he's talking about. Let's just start there. So first and foremost, am I interested in PE deal flow? No, I'm not. I have no idea why I would be this person's ICP. Now, the only thing I can assume is he's like, well, he owns a company, he's a CEO, so maybe he looks for investments. But that's about as far as I can go as why it would connect me, number one. Number two, says nothing about the type of deal flow, why it would be beneficial to me, what he's offering me. Like, remember, I'm always about current state, future state, what I could be struggling with right now that he can solve. I mean, all he asked me is, am I interested in PE deal flow? So the assumption I can make is that he thinks that I am in the investment world looking for active investments and can't find them. And so therefore he can connect me. There's so much assumed in that last piece that I'm at a loss. The whole thing's a shit show. Becc was desperate to say something.
Yeah, no, Becc, you have some edits?
Yes, you were. Just in your face.
No, I was desperate to find the screen. I lost the social live screen. But yes, to your point, this was the first email that usually I'm confused about what they do because I don't understand anything about the company. This one confused me because I'm like, he said, do you want access to deal flow from private equity funds? Meaning, do you want to work with private equity funds that can pass you deals as an entrepreneur to, close and train? But
that's not what I read.
But then he says, I connect accredited investors with PE firms. So is he trying to go after you or an investor in private equity firms, or is he after they can pass you deals from the private equity firms? I was genuinely at a loss. I'm like, I don't know which one he's talking about. That was my main feedback. The second one here, and then I want to transition back to Keenan, is he hits on, are you interested, twice. And the damage of that to me is if you say, are you in market for, are you looking for, do you need, do you want to take a look at, that's assuming pre-allocated, they already knew the problem existed.
Yep.
Which is the main culprit behind outbound. Keenan, what do you think?
100%. It's exactly the point. I don't know how many times I have to say it. Don't know how many times I have to say it. Current state. So go write your emails, uncovering or calling out certain issues, problems, challenges, etc., that they may be having that they can relate to. Oh yeah, I do have a hard time with my hair in a humid day. Wow, you're right. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to be like, okay, so what? Now what? Like, you get me to connect to that. And I'm like, now what?
Mm-hmm. On to the next message, which was to Becc. This is a very short one. There's a cloud engineer that sent her. Hello, Holland. Your website is quite attractive, and the images are good and high quality. Excellent work. How do you increase sales? Becc, what do you think about this message?
On a side note, I want everyone to know that I'm not picking these messages. I didn't just pick out the ones that say it's quite attractive. Min's picking these out for me. This is an average representation of what's in my inbox. That's most of what I'm going to say about that. I think everyone can fill in the gaps. How do you increase sales? It actually is not a bad question. That's what's sad. Relatively speaking, how do you increase sales is not a bad question. But overall, this message is confusing, grammatically incorrect, borderlining on inappropriate. And I have no reason to want to respond to this person. I don't think they're an expert. Keenan, what do you think? He looks lost.
I'm completely lost. I didn't even know it was a sales email.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I didn't know if he was asking you how to increase sales. He is so excited.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
I think Keenan pissed Min off because that was the first time I've seen that kind of jump.
Oh no, I just haven't had a good siren in like 3-4 podcasts. Y'all have been so good on keeping the time.
I was set up. He knew there was like 3 seconds. He asked it anyways.
Hey, I would like to mention that it was Becc that said, hey, Keenan, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, fair enough. She got me. You got me, Becc.
On a side note, Keenan at one point said, you said that I'm always plotting. And I'm like, the only person who could identify that is someone who's plotting all the time as well. But I digress.
That is not true.
Just a side note.
Okay. Hey, everybody listening, make sure you add your comments in here. I'm paying attention. So if you're listening, drop your comments, questions, opinions, and get some good dialogue going in the comments as well.
Perfect. And with that, we're on to our next segment of this podcast, which is Sales Mythology. This is the segment where we demystify common myths in the sales industry. Now, the first myth of today is if someone says they need something, I should just sell it to them. Becc, what do you think about this?
Yeah, so I'm going to lead, but I'm going to lead quickly. The reason I think it's a overwhelming myth in the industry. I think people just get excited that they think they need something. The reason I think it's a myth at the crux, and I'm going to transition oddly enough, is they think they need something to solve a problem and to achieve an outcome. And they might be egregiously wrong that that's not going to get them there. So if you sell it to them, you're sidestepping that reality that they might be incorrect in a number of different assumptions. But if they're wrong in any of those assumptions, problem, root cause, impact, future impact, etc., or they're wrong in the solution, then it's unethical to sell it to them without asking any questions. Keenan, what do you think?
Becc said it all. I mean, it's a fact. I play out a million times. We literally do this exercise in our training of asking people to describe what they bought and make them fill out the boxes, current state, future state, impact, root cause, right? And it's horrible what they put in there. Horrible. They're just not keenly in tune to the problems they're trying to solve. They think they know what it is. Sometimes they're right by default. Sometimes they're fairly accurate, but then they mess up the root causes. Or sometimes they don't even see the bigger picture, the broader picture. So they end up trying to solve this, but really it's way bigger than that, and they don't recognize it. So to Beck's point, if someone says, hey, I want this, other than something that costs $1, right, or the grocery store, other than something like that has long-term ramifications, no question you can't do that. You can't do that. Now, here's why we do it. To Beck's point, we try to get excited, but the sales organization says, oh, hey, that's an easy sale. Go take it, right? But what you'll find out is if you go back and you look at I actually do this informal poll in all my trainings. I say, all right, how many of you have had a deal where someone called in and said, I need this and I need it right away? We need to install your outreach. We need to install your sales off. We need to install your Salesforce. We need to install. We need this. And you're like, oh my God, that's great. And like, yeah, we got to get this done the next 30 days. And not only does it not get done the next 30 days, it doesn't even close. How many of you have that happen a lot? Everybody raises their hand. Well, it's because people just don't do the upfront work.
So I have a great example for you that's actually apropos and in sight. So if you'll notice right here, my door is not shut. And if anyone knew anything
about it, a second ago.
No, this one right here. It
was shut a minute ago. I watched it. Watched the video back. It opened on its own. Okay.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna murder.
Got a ghost back. Look at Min. All right, sorry.
The sad thing is it kind of worked. I'm still freaked out right now. There's a man in here. There's a man in here.
It looks like a man sitting in the chair, too. It kind of looks like a little head.
Would you stop?
Look, it looks like a man with the head sitting right there.
He knows how freaked out I am about safety.
Loki kind of does.
This door is open. And the reason it's open is because my dad came in town this weekend for my birthday. And he essentially was sleeping in that room on a mattress. And I sleep with all the lights on, so he wants to shut the door, so that I can keep the lights on so I don't think that I'm going to get murdered. Yeah, I know. I act like a youngest child. And he was on the mattress. Point being, he opens the door, and we can't get it shut the next day. So we try, and we get the landlord out there, and we're like, we can't get this door shut. And the landlord diagnoses, he's like, hey, so we're going to actually, it's because something has likely fallen behind it whenever you pulled it out. But you never pull it out. And so there's something obstructing it. So I'm like, so what's the solution? He's like, we're going to have to cut a hole in your wall to pull that thing out and then repatch the wall and then put the door back. Well, low-key, my dad was essentially plugging for a lot of different improvements around the Holland household this weekend. And he said, I watched your podcast and we need to fix your shower drain. I was like, okay, so we call out a plumber. I go for a run. He manages the process. He manages the plumber on site, and he gets the plumber to look at the door. And the plumber looks at it, pulls out a couple different things, apparently diagnoses it. And he was like, yeah, I could see where someone thinks it's something obstructing it. But actually what has happened is something like some kind of bar or something came up. And so you need something to hijack the door up over that to get the door back in place. So if you sell someone something that they say that they need without asking questions, that would be like selling us a chainsaw or whatever it is to rip into the wall to get the wall open to pull out the thing, when actually net, not only would that have cost us time, money, worsened my condition, but it wouldn't have solved the problem. We still would need the problem or the solution of how to get the door up over the hinge, which is a completely different problem. So the point being, the reason I didn't know any of that is I'm not an expert. Like my view on cars is like, they're like, what type of car is it? I'm like, the black one. You put it in and you turn the key and then it turns on and it goes. That's my expertise on cars. On home improvement, it's about the same thing. Scale of 1 to 1,000, it's a 1. So if you sell me something that I say that I need, it's to my detriment. It's really going to hurt me. And so I think sellers are like, okay, if I ask all of these questions, they're going to get annoyed. And I'm like, net, it depends on the questions that you're asking and the value behind them. But even if they get annoyed at that, they're going to get more annoyed at that they buy the chainsaw, they can't return it, and it still doesn't solve their problem. So I'm like, solve their problems. The first thing you have to do is find out what they are, though, and define them before you sell. It's your ethical responsibility. Keenan, what are you thinking?
No, nothing. It's that you. Like I said, it's your ethical responsibility to understand the problem. Yeah.
All right. So the next myth of today is the buyer doesn't want your help as a sales rep. Keenan, what do you think on this?
What's the myth?
The buyer doesn't want your help.
Oh, that's the myth. Yeah. I guess technically, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's a myth because they don't. I mean, because they do. Sorry. It's a myth because they do. They don't think they do, but what they're reacting to is bad sales. Most people want help. They want clarity. They want insight, right? Even when you, how many times have someone said to go to a good friend and said, hey, Paul, hey, Mary, hey, Jennifer, whatever the fuck your name is, and they were like, I'm having a problem with my relationship, right? That's sales. They want help because we can only understand a problem so well. We can only get out of our own way. We can only understand our own situation because we're biased. We don't see things. We take things for granted. You know what I'm saying? So having a fresh set of eyes. The problem is the reason people believe that they don't want that is because buyers are beginning to react to all the shitty selling. Selling is getting worse and worse. And buyers are frustrated and fed up with it. So like, you're bringing me no value. You brought me no value. You brought me no value. You brought me no value. So I'm just assume you, salesperson, for that, not gonna bring me any value either. So I'm out. I'll just do it myself. So it's not they don't want it. They just don't want it from salespeople because they don't believe salespeople can bring the value. They absolutely want the support and the help if someone can actually give it to them. They just don't believe we can give it to them.
What about you, Becc? What do you think?
Same exact thing. I think it's their experiences. They're like, there's only one thing that I'm going to learn on that call that the seller knows that I don't know. Price. That's why they ask it. That's why they go there right away. It's because based on their experience, they don't think that you possess any expertise. So that's what they say that they want is for you to just demo. And they say what they don't want is for you to interrogate them and ask them a whole bunch of questions. It's not a doctor asks the same amount of questions. But the doctor, the net of it is they produce an expertise that they didn't know beforehand. So the agenda is off. But point being, they want your help. They want an expert's help. They need an expert's help. They're just not convinced that you have any of that. So you have to acquire that first to be able to help them. The minute that I need something in a field that I don't know about, I'm like seeking out the person in Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever because I want to ask them 3,000 questions. So I think that the reason, to your point, that they don't think that they need help or they don't think that they want the help is because they typically haven't gotten any. So I'm like, prove them wrong by possessing it before they were even expecting it.
I like that. Prove them wrong. That's good.
All right, we're on to our last. Oh no, there's 10 seconds. I'm not gonna trick you.
Who's getting the horn? Who's getting the horn?
He's trying to tease someone up. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, hey.
Still looking for that creepy man in the background.
Yeah. So Jimmy Fox here, he's a great baseball player for the Boston Red Sox. But I digress. James Fox said, "Agreed. I thought someone was sitting there. It looks like someone's sitting in that chair."
Yeah, it looks like a head in the window.
You know that famous painting of the woman with the veil who's just sitting there like that? Mm-hmm. Kind of reminds me of that.
Which
now you're really trying to scare her.
The chair right behind you. There's a base that looks like a head.
And
it slants and it looks like they're just staring in the corner.
I just want to deeply thank you, Keenan, for causing a rapid departure of psychological safety in my own home.
You know, I have amazing skills. I'm going to add that to.
And he knows it's like number one. I've got 9 locks, 7 cans of mace. Like.
Yeah, but you don't text me anymore when you run, so you can't be that uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Just saying.
Hey, with that, we're going to the next segment of this podcast, which is Take It or Leave It. This is the segment where I introduce common sales tactics, and Keenan and Becc let us know whether they would take it or leave it. Oh, whoa, wait, hold up.
What should we do?
Is that bobblehead Keenan?
What should we do? Him and that little Keenan, they
I wish I
talk
could.
all day long. They're like,
I wish I had ventriloquist and say it. Shut the fuck up.
they're like, what should we do to Becc today? What should we do?
Oh.
When he wakes up in the morning, that's his first thought. I guarantee.
Oh
you.
yeah. It was Beck's birthday. And wait, did you get the purple? Did you get the purple stuff?
What are you talking about?
Oh.
It might be in the mailroom.
It didn't come.
Wait, hold up.
I am so
The birthday
confused.
present came. Everybody listening, it was Beck's birthday last week, and I forgot to say happy birthday. Shut up. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, so I had to call later. It was Beck's birthday. Everybody say happy birthday to Becc.
Oh, 100%. Hey, Becc.
I know.
If you from what I understand, if you haven't gotten it in your room, it's probably in your mail room.
I'm confused on whether this is real. And
Yes,
if this is not real,
you're gonna be so mad.
real. He said it's real.
We'll restart the segment. We'll restart the timer whenever. Like, go down and check out.
but Keenan has to have a topic while I'm gone.
Oh, I'll go through take it or leave it. Some take it or leave it with Keenan.
Okay, but Keenan, are you telling the truth?
About what? Yeah, there's some down there. But you don't gotta go get it now. We won't make our people wait. We won't do that. But it's there, so you can bring it. You can bring it next meeting and show everybody.
What do you think, Becc?
I want to go get it, but I'm terrified that there's a man there and that it's.
No, you don't have to be terrified. Yeah, okay. All right, let's go. Take it or leave is my favorite segment.
You gotta take it or leave it.
Oh, well, okay.
No, she can't go.
Am I going? I'm going.
No, you can't go. It's not that big of a deal. You can show us when you come back.
I'm going.
It's not. It's not that big of a deal.
Better be real.
Keenan, you want to do some take it or leave it?
We have no. You know what I'll do here? All of you listening, what questions do you have? You ask questions. I'm going to answer questions for our trusty followers who are still here. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
What do you think of that, Min, in our top to bottom fan club? Do we have a fan club on something? I should have known Becc in her, her, I don't even know the word, but she wants her present now.
It's the ADHD brain.
Yeah, that too. And it's all about me brain. Right? It's all about me brain. Come on, guys. What questions do you have? What do you got? You got an AMA with Keenan for like 3 minutes. How does that ever happen?
Oh my goodness. I am so excited to see if she got the present.
Well, they said they
yeah, it says deliver, it says the mailroom, so we should be good. But yes, last week it was Beck's birthday, and we were going to do the surprise then, but it didn't deliver. So.
Nope. Where's my star, by the way? I still got my star up there somewhere, right, Keenan?
Yeah, I shipped to you. Didn't I ship to you?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'll have to go check.
We'll check. I'll check the tracking once we get back.
I just love the fact that I got a star called Keenan.
Oh yeah, with the period at the end too. You gotta make sure.
It should have been.
Is this from you?
No, we just knew that it was down there. What kind of silly question? Silly.
I was walking down those stairs and I was like, there's nothing here. I'm going to sit down here and cry and I'm going to let them finish out the podcast.
No one's asking any questions, too. It says we got followers, but no one's asking any questions.
No one's asking. Who wants to guess what it is?
Just open it. Let's go. No one asks questions. I'm not going to guess. Happy birthday, Becc.
Thank you. This is the best birthday ever.
I know.
Okay, hold up. Let me put Becc up on the main. There we go.
Oh my gosh.
There you go, Becc. There you go. The safe one for me when I'm in town.
I can't even get
Not
it.
even strong enough. Maybe we should have got a protein powder instead.
There we go.
There we go. Great purple energy, man. The purple, like Min's shirt, Minion.
Oh yeah.
Purple.
You already know.
That's really sweet.
All right.
That's really nice.
Happy birthday.
Okay, so let's try to restart this segment. Let's see if I can
Back on track.
get back on. Take it or leave it.
I am 37. 37.
The only thing that bothers me about that is I am almost literally 20 years older than you. That is what really upsets me.
Oh my goodness.
Well, there is one point where we're the inverse of each other's age. 35, 53.
Oh, you're right. We just passed that. The inverse. All right.
Oh my gosh. Wait, that means you're more than double my age.
Oh, dude, I'm well more double your age.
Yeah, but like 2.5 times. Oh my god. Okay, we restarted the timer. The
All right, let's
first
go.
take it or leave it for today is 1-to-1 pairings between SDRs and AEs. Keenan, take it or leave it.
I'm going to make one up for the first time. It's not going to be a leave it or a T-Vis. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't think that really matters in any way, shape, or form. You're going to have to sit back and you're going to have to ask yourself, what does your environment dictate? That's all there really is to it. This is an operational question. This is a data question. This is not a philosophy question. So I'll let Becc do the rest.
Got you. Becc, what do you think? Take it or leave it.
I am a leave it how it's done today. SDR to AE one-on-one pairings, usually it's that they support the account executive. A couple of bad things that happen. One is people will be like, oh, I have a good AE or a good BDR or bad BDR, or I have a good AE or I have a bad AE. And so you never have it actually even in terms of pipeline. Number two, they churn often and then you have to reorg. And number three, the AE usually gives a lot of instruction on messaging in specific, which should be up to the SDR and the SDR manager to craft. Now, for expertise on the accounts, great. But as a pairing for any of those purposes, I'm a leave it.
Gotcha. Well, the next one for today is selling to buyer personalities. Becc, take it or leave it.
Leave it. It's a technique. Yeah, it's a technique. And I just don't believe that if that is even in your brain, disc scale, Myers-Briggs, introversion, extroversion, attachment theory, any of that, I don't believe if your head is in that space, then your head is on the space of how do I correctly diagnose. And so they don't necessarily have to be mutually exclusive, but often they are. So I'm going to be a leave it.
What about you, Keenan? Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it as well. I'm going to leave it for two reasons. The first one is inauthenticity. If you're trying to sell to their personality, in many cases, you're spending too much time being inauthentic, trying to mirror their behavior or sell to them in a certain way. And that really doesn't matter. The second one has completely escaped my mind. But selling to a personality type, yeah, it's just to leave it. To Beck's point, if you're not focused on the problem, the impact, and properly diagnosing, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so no, just leave it.
Gotcha. The last one for today is marketing, writing cadences for BDRs. Keenan, take it or leave it.
Sure. Holy crap. Maybe can I have one of those monsters, please?
Maybe if you walk through the hall and the scary man will scare
yes,
the
go give one to the scary man. I'm going to say take it. And here's why I'm going to say take it. Here's my asterisk. I don't care who writes the cadence, as long as it's creative, intriguing, relevant, and good. So I think it's a huge mistake to sort of put the writer of the cadence in a box, right? Or in a corner. Don't put baby or marketing in the corner, right? It really just comes down to who writes the best one, the individual, which isn't very scalable, the SDR manager, the SDR team, marketing, sales, I don't care. Just whoever writes the best one.
What about you, Becc? What do you think about this?
I would say, by and large, oddly enough, I'm going to take it. What I hear, the feedback I hear about marketing is, well, they don't possess the expertise of the buyer. Like they don't know anything about the buyer. And I'm like, yeah, well, newsflash, neither do sales reps or SDR.
Yeah.
And considering that, the one thing that marketing does possess is copyright skill, the aesthetic of an email, punctuation, how long it should be. So it actually usually enters an expertise as opposed to, I think that your you're churning the idea because you believe that they don't have the expertise, which is a mythical creature that usually doesn't exist anyway. So I'm like, why not increase the copyright skill?
Do you have a mythical creature, Becc?
I don't know. There.
Okay, continue your conversation. Carry on.
You were so nice. You were mean, nice, mean.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Usually
I'm just love bombing you, Becc. I'm just love bombing you.
They say it's a shit sandwich.
Yes.
But usually the shit's in the middle, but you flipped it.
It's a love sandwich.
Me.
Oh, I also see that both of y'all are now just trying to bait each other into getting the siren.
Love bomb part 1. Love bomb part 1. If you were gonna scare me, it would have been a long time ago.
Oh my goodness. I love that bobblehead. Can we all get a copy so we can just have it right
of
here?
Our own or of Keenan?
I need to make
of Keenan for sure.
He's already sent me like 10.
Okay.
I know.
Becc, I want you to give this one a kiss on the cheek at night. Before you go into a sales call, throw a quarter at it.
Once I send Becc, I don't have a shirt on though.
Yeah. There's so much data.
Okay, this
gonna wind up on CNN.
This episode has completely gone off the rails.
If y'all knew what we were talking about before the podcast, this is actually an improvement.
We gotta make it up. We gotta come in strong because this podcast has gone off the rails.
Okay.
It's our birthday episode, so it's lit.
Hell yeah.
It's off the rails.
It's off the rails.
Okay, let's get back on track with the next segment of this podcast, which is the inbox. My personal favorite segments. This is the segment where Becc and Keenan answer questions from our audience. And with that, I have the help of the trusty paid actor, the mailbox.
What's that CPG? What's that thing, my kid? An NPG, non-player NPC.
Oh yeah, NPC. Yeah.
Non-player character. That's it.
Okay, this first one is from Jim McCarthy from Kansas City, Missouri. He says, or he asks, I'm in the sports sales industry, and although I absolutely love it here and have been in love with sports ever since I was a kid, I just don't make enough money to justify staying in this industry. How do you balance doing what you love with making a living? Becc, why don't you start us off on this one?
Oh, this is an existential question.
Existential? Whoa.
Crazy deep.
Yeah, I can't look at Keenan because I just keep thinking of this shirtless bobblehead now. It's distracting me.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Kind of looks like Tiger Woods a little bit.
I mean, it's at a cost. It's at a cost. Meaning, some things you do what you love, even though it doesn't make a lot of money, and that's not important to you. Sometimes you do things that make a lot of money, but you're miserable all day. I've seen people do both. I'd say both are the first person's happier in my experience, but they're both net not really happy. I tried to find the cross section of both, of establish a standard of what you think is livable, and then back into the income that you need to make that, and evaluate out of all of these choices that I have of directions that I can go, what hits the cross section of the ones that financially get me there, but I'm also really passionate about. Just because you're passionate about, on a side note, just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean that you're good at it. I'm extremely passionate about ballet. I, in no form, shape, form, or fashion, will ever be a ballet dancer. I probably watch 30 minutes of ballet videos a day. I haven't even really been to the ballet, much less could I be a ballet dancer. Point being, I'm passionate about it, but I'm not good at it. So I would evaluate, what am I good at? What would keep me financially healthy based on the standards that I want? And then you get the math. I'm just confused because bobblehead's staring at me. Keenan, what do you think?
Okay, I'm going to take this in a different direction. I'm going to gap sell this motherfucker.
Yeah.
So, first question. I know you can't answer, but the first question is, what's not enough money?
Yeah. To do what?
Right? So he just said, I don't make enough money. Well, I don't know what that means. If he's telling me I only make 30 grand a year or 20 grand a year, okay, that is probably a problem because I believe that's below the poverty line. So you really can't do anything with that. But if you tell me you make 70, 80, 90, 100K a year, I think there's been some studies that said every dollar after 70 or 75 is some diminishing return that in America, or I guess America, you can live a happy life with 75K a year, which means you can afford per person. So you can afford a decent 1-bedroom place. You can drive a decent car. You can have food on the table, right? So the question really becomes, how are we defining make enough money? Then secondly, based on that, if it's above the 75, then I would ask you why you're spending so much that makes that not livable, okay? So if it is not livable and it's under the 75, there's a whole bunch of other jobs in sports to make more than 75, 80, 90K a year.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go in the sports world and you can do it somewhere else. If you want to make $300,000, $400,000 a year in sports and you're not the athlete or someone like that, now you get some real questions to ask. Why do you need to make that kind of money if you love it that much? So to Beck's point, I would break it down like this, right? Look at her, she's gonna lose her shit. I break it down.
And then called me a different name.
Yeah, but Brady's a smart lady just like you. So
I know, it's a dig on her.
Well, I'm just leaving that alone. So really it comes down to, why do you feel if you want to make more money, why do you feel you need to make a career in that space?
Mm-hmm. And
I love skiing, but I'll never make a career out of it ever.
It might not even be that too. It might be like, what makes you passionate about it? Is it the selling or is it the sports?
Yeah. And if it's a sports, go do that somewhere else as a hobby. Mm-hmm. And then sell somewhere else to make bank.
Oh, ending too early, guys.
You've trained her. What'd you say? Yeah, I know. Things fucking
Where did the ball?
Hey, he said that's annoying.
Here's the thing. Like, I guarantee you, he talks to that thing in the morning. He's like, what do you want to do to Becc? What game do you want to play? What do you want to do? Like, I would have not been surprised if I walked around the corner and there was a life-size bobblehead.
That would be a life-size Keenan right in your apartment. I need to put it right there. I need to get that.
It's a dream come true.
Maybe that's our next birthday present. Okay, well, with that, we're on to the next segment of our podcast, which is the challenge. This is the segment where Keenan and Becc break down a challenging subject within the sales industry. And today's challenge is problem solving. What types of problems are you solving, and are you solving the right ones? Keenan, would you like to start on this?
No, I'm going to let Becc start this one.
For sure. Becc, why don't you start on this one?
Wait, are those
you get one episode.
I almost never take them, so I'm taking this one.
Okay, so the first step to solving a problem, or I think the challenge behind solving problems, is identifying the problem and quantifying the problem.
Glad you said that, Becc. It's
so insane to me. The more and more I hear it, I was listening to someone the other day, and they were asked to ask a question. Someone said a statement. I believe this person's in a certain, this person's a certain way. And they were asked to ask a question, and they said, why do you think that? And I'm like, ooh, that's even still off. I'm like, what do you mean by blank? Can you be more specific? Can you define blank? Can you walk me through what you mean by that? And I think the first step that I would say 99.9% of reps, but nay, I'm going to say 100. Miss that entirely. If they lead with, I have a problem around, whatever, NPS score. It's like, what's your NPS score? Can you define the problem? Can you walk me through the problem that you're having? That is step one. And being able to quantify that. How often is it happening? What is the NPS score? What's the gap between what their standard is? What's the quota? Where's their quota today? What's the ASP? What's the sales cycle? What's the conversion ratio from, booked meetings into SQOs? All of those problems is helping you quantify the problem. So there are two pieces to that, and then I'm going to pass to Keenan. But if you don't start there, you're dead. You have nothing. It's identifying and quantifying the problem. The two sides of it is what do they think the problem is? And the second piece is what do you think that the problem is? The problem being defined as the thing that you need to resolve to get to the outcome. So the first step is getting your arms around from a quantitative perspective and defining what is the problem and start there. And if you don't do that, you might as well just send them a contract and hope for the best. Like truly.
Why do you think salespeople have such a hard time with that?
Thousands of years of sales history teaching them that they have to, that they should convince people that they should sell via talking well about their product to convince people to buy. And then everything was an offshoot of that. No. Now you need to, pain sell. So I need to be asking all these pain questions just to get them to feel in a certain way to convince them to buy. No, I need to empathy-based sell. I need to say, all these things so they think that I'm a human. So now they'll open up to me. So they'll want to buy. I need to relationship sell. So I need to build a relationship with them, be more likable, identify their buyer personality so that they'll like me so that they will buy. Like all of the root was buying. That is the North Star, not solving the problem. So I believe for thousands of years, we have originated and we've gotten better and better and better and better and better slowly in this Reformation, but it's always been anchored around how do I ultimately sell versus how do I ultimately solve their problem?
Help.
Yes. Because like if I said, here's the thing, then I'm going to go on to you, Keenan. I think a lot of people like sales because they believe that it's a game. And it is, right? In this game, in convincing them to buy, it's mutually exclusive. Any game is two parties or more against one another, and their goal is mutually exclusive. If I win, you lose. If you win, I lose. So they withhold information to overcome the other player. I can't sell something at $100 and you buy it at $80. So it's a game of power. So salespeople like it because it's a game. And I'm like, I'm not saying to put down the game or the competitive nature of it. What I'm saying is shift your game to a game that when you win, they win. When they win, you win. It's still a game to be able to diagnose. My sister is one of the most competitive people that I know. And they're like, I got 3 minutes to diagnose this problem. So that game nature can still be in it, but start playing a game that it's in both of your best interests that you win. Because when you win, they win and solve their problem. Keenan, what were you going to say?
Nothing. You're on target. You're 100% correct.
When I find that someone finds a problem that I didn't know about, I find myself just opening my wallet and I'm like, just tell me what it costs. I don't even care.
Tell me how to fix it.
Totally. I'm like, just tell me where I can run. I'm almost relieved. I'm like, oh, thank God. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, just tell me. I don't even care anymore. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to run the credit card because in my head, I'm like, I solved the problem. And the exchange of the money, I'm like, I'm going to make more money because I just solved this problem. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, just transition that nature. That's why people struggle with it, is because their goal this whole time has been to sell and to convince. Mm-hmm. Not how they would use the product. Is this the right product for them? Like, that's why doctors ask all these questions of like, are you allergic to blank? Are you taking other medications? You need to take it in this way. Take it at night. Take it with water, blah, blah, blah. Because like, I'll give you an example. I'm highly allergic to penicillin.
God, so that sucks. You don't want to get an infection, huh?
Fine. So like anytime I've taken penicillin, I get rashes on my body, like in a certain spot for 15 minutes that are incredibly itchy. And then it stops there and then transitions to a different part of my body. Stops there, transitions to a different part of my body for 72 hours.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
So if I have a problem and you're like, this is the solution, and I don't ask the right amount of questions, I'm like, you could prescribe me something that it may solve my problem, but create a new, fresh hell for me. So I'm like, when you think about doctors, like before they even get in the room, they ask you 100 questions on a form. Date of birth, age, any kind of surgery, any kind of medications that you're taking, any kind of allergies, any kind of surgeries. Like their starting point is 100 questions.
Think about chat, how chat 8, whatever the damn thing is, chat. Whatever it is. What?
The Chat GPT?
Yeah, Chat GPT. Think about how that's going to change things real quick, Becc. You go in and you check all those boxes, and then Chat GPT says, oh, you might want to look for these things. The doctors, I know, anyways, because the doctors don't always look at those things. You fill them out and they go there, but they don't always look at them.
It's almost like that's like the AE with the BD are like qualification questions. And I'm like, those can't be the questions. Like the questions have to be, they have a stack of 100, and then they go in and they still spend the time for 45 minutes to ask you more questions because they have to, because they are KPI'd on diagnosing correctly, diagnosing the root cause correctly, prognosing the future impact correctly, and prescribing something that changes your current state in a way that ultimately achieves the outcome that you're looking to achieve, avoiding the threat, avoiding the impact, solving the current impact. And so it's just bizarre to me. I think the main root cause behind this whole thing is the goal in their head. So they're like, how do I get my buyer to think in a certain way? How do I get my buyer to feel like they want to buy? How do I get my buyer to think that I'm the best? It's like by proving expertise, by asking the questions that provide value. They know something after the question they didn't know beforehand. Keenan, I'm sorry I'm taking up the whole time.
No, it's good. You're doing a good job.
Once they change that mindset, you wouldn't waste any questions or time on what if you could have 15,000 leads, blah, 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 because it's a wasted question. It would burn your time. It wouldn't give you any additional information. It wouldn't help you diagnose. So I'm just like, shift it, man. Shift it. Can you got 30 seconds left?
Any closing thoughts?
What Becc said. I would just say the challenge, I think the challenge is, why can't people do it? It's because they don't know what problems they solve.
Oh my goodness. And with that.
Another thing is they don't even know the root causes behind it. They're like, okay,
you got to know the problem first, but
I
don't know anything.
Right. I'm like, so let's even say that you have the root cause or the problem defined. I'm like, guys, a problem is something they can't do. They can't take a shower. That's a problem. I still can take a shower, but the tub fills up partway. That's a pain.
Well, I would still argue you can't take a shower is a technical problem and it's a root cause. Right. The fact that you don't feel comfortable or confident when you get on this top to bottom, or that you feel you're self-conscious, that you smell or don't look good when you go out to meet friends, that's the problem.
Totally. So like I can't look in a certain way that I want to on the podcast. And the reason behind that is because I can't take a shower. And the reason behind that is because there's a sticker over the drain. So it's like people are after the impact. But how they get there is by solving the business problem, and how they get there is by solving the technical problem. How they get there is by solving the root cause underneath. So I'm like, you have to solve all of that. So if you only stick at root cause, you don't know any of this, and you might be changing a root cause that like might have a little effect, but isn't going to actually avoid the impact. Like if I had taken the sticker off the drain, did it help? Yes, but I still had a pain. The water was still halfway up the tub. So it's like, I don't know. It's very simple in my head. That's what's really frustrating. Oh my God, I'm turning into Keenan. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I'm letting you go. That's why I'm letting you go.
Oh my God, I'm turning into Keenan.
Yes, beautiful thing.
I think I need a Diet Monster. It's very simple. I'm like, just transition your mindset to diagnosing. If you do that, you won't have all the time that you spend on objection handling webinars and all that crap. It will lion's share be alleviated because you won't experience it anymore because he won't give you objections because you don't give an objection to a doctor.
No.
That's it.
Well, all right. We're on to our last segment of this podcast called the rants. And I'm going to choose Keenan.
How
Here
could
we
you
go.
not choose me? She's
Of
been
course.
talking for 10 minutes.
Yeah, this wasn't big of a surprise.
Yes, maybe 12, 14 minutes.
Well, Keenan, what is your rant for today?
You know, I think my rant should be that I need to get better at preparing my rants, and that my sorry butt doesn't get with the program fast enough. I think what I want to talk about today, and I'm going to be just quick and brief, but as poignant as possible, is our desire to self-fulfill, sort of cognitive dissonance, right? Our desire to self-fulfill our belief systems. And I'm sure I'm just as guilty as the next person. However, I read a lot and I ask a lot of questions and I try to make things make sense. And when I'm faced with something that doesn't make sense or is challenging me, that's why a lot of people struggle with me, is because I debate a lot. I don't debate to be a dick. I debate to understand. That's how I process. And when you're talking about things that are complex or people are emotional about, it turns into a debate because most people aren't trying to understand. They're trying to win. And I'm asking all the questions to try to understand. All right, so you think, I don't give a shit, Biden or Trump are fucking great presidents. Great. Walk me through it. Well, just because Trump says a lot of bad things doesn't mean he's president. I don't think it's because he says a lot of bad things. I think it's because he's tried to implement authoritarian rule. Here's my examples. Why don't you think? Well, and it just starts to be this whole thing, right? So where am I going with this? I'm going with this is I posted 2 posts in the last 2 days. One that said there's a riff in sales, and I think there's one group of people who still want to be the customer's bitch and respond to the customer and do whatever the customer says and be order takers. And the other one is trying to help the customer at a time when the customers, as we talked about earlier, don't really want to work with us because we're not providing value, right? And then I posted another one that said, please don't ask the customer what their timing is. If you properly diagnosed, you'll know what their timing is. And the number of people on both of those who disagreed with me, not with valid, well-articulated opinions, but just reciting same old regurgitated shit that shows they really haven't sat down and evaluated the environment of which I'm talking, blew my mind. Blew my mind. So I think my rant is people be more open to learn. Stop trying to defend what you believe because you believe that if what you believe is wrong, you have to change. You are now a less of a person. Right? Don't stop trying to protect your ego and your self-esteem. Build your self-esteem and ego around your flexibility to learn and expand and understand broader principles and broader theories and methods. Go with that. Go with it. That's where I'm going to leave you all today. Expand your mind.
All right, perfect. Becc, what is your rant for today?
So I was looking at, there's something to your point, Keenan, called expectancy theory. And it's Victor Vroom in his 60s who came up with it. And basically what it is statistically, people are making actions and decisions. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I said my internet is okay. You're making decisions and stacking up the things in your day and gearing them in a way to achieve the outcome that you believe is going to come to be true. So like if you believe that things are going to pan out in a bad way, you're going to self-sabotage to enable that reality to become true. Like, no, it's a true thing. Like people do it all day long. Whatever you expect is going to happen, you're going to gear your actions in a certain way of like, oh, I'm going to miss this pitch because I don't believe that I'm going to win this game. And the effect of it on human psychology. So anyhow, really fascinating what you're saying. My rant, it'll be a short one because I know I went on a 10-minute one. We were like super non-business. We were like a mullet, but we led with like party in the back, and now we're business up front.
Yeah.
So business front, party in the back.
Business in the front, party in the back. You're right.
So the word impact, I learned something new the other day. So there are essentially 12 types of nouns. I'm not going to go into all of them as much as I would love to. There are 12 types of nouns. And there is one dichotomy of noun where it's either countable or it's uncountable. meaning you can put an ambit or a direction around, like, a finite ambit around it, or you can't. And the word impact, when it is used as a object running into another, it can either go, it's known as invariable. It can be one or the other. It's not necessarily one or the other.
So a cloud can't be countable.
Yeah, right, exactly. So it's like, are you countable or uncountable? Like 3 Skittles, happiness. It's like, that's not necessarily countable. So an impact, whenever it's known as an object running into another one, it can go both ways. It can be countable or uncountable. Where it changes is when it's defined as the effect on something. Then it is countable only. So my challenge to people is the impact is countable. It can be defined.
Yep. Every time.
Be calculated.
Every time.
The English language dictates that it can only be countable.
Merriam and Oxford win the day.
So my rant is count it, define it, calculate it, so that you know it and you potentially could add to it because there's an impact that they don't know that's going to happen that they weren't counting on. So I'm like, define it, quantify it, it's countable, leave it in that state, double down, and get your arms around it. That's my entire rant.
Well, hey, that is the end of our podcast.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. I'm Keenan. Thank you for listening.
And I'm Becc. I'll see you next week.